Hey, my name is Amber, and like many African Americans, and you notice I have my headphones on. I just don't want to get a lot of background noise on this video, so I decided to put my headphones on. Don't I look like a telephone operator? So great. Anyway, I'm African American, as you can see, obviously, and sorry about the bad lighting, but oh well, as you can see. And I've always wondered as an African American, like, where did I come from? Exactly. I know relatives came from Africa, but you kind of feel lost, especially when you speak to your friends and they can say, "Oh, I come from this country. I come from that country. This is the country that I come from." And they know their ancestors, they know their great 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 grandparents came from this place and that place, and I know somewhere in Africa, but Africa's a continent, so I don't know exactly where my family came from. And that's like the case with a lot of African Americans. And I will say about the African American culture, you know what, we made do and we created our own type of subculture in the US. So that was pretty good. So kudos to us. Um, so yeah, I was very excited about that. But but still, there's kind of like a question about, like, okay, what else? Um, what else? Because, when history starts, like, oh, you're born on a slave ship, it's kind of like, oh, wonderful. No one wants that kind of history at all. So basically, I decided to get a DNA test, but at that time, I was living in China. Right now, I'm back in the US. For how long, I'm not sure. But I was living in China. I lived in China for 6 years, but I was so curious. So while I was in China, I ordered from WeGene. And this is great because this is going to be like the first video of somebody who actually got a genuine WeGene kit. Because when you live in China, you get a WeGene kit. Other videos that I've seen, they just upload it onto the website. But I have actual WeGene kit, so it's like awesome. So it came to me. It comes from Shenzhen, China. You do what everybody else did, spit in the tube, etc. I have another video about that, but I didn't post it. And you wait. I waited maybe like 3 weeks, and the results came back. Prior to the results, I kind of had my own, like, okay, my own guess because I watch all. Okay. So I thought definitely by just looking at my complexion, and my friends like, oh, you're stupid. You shouldn't look at your complexion. But looking at my complexion, I'm like, okay, I have to be about 85% African. And then my family's last name, it's British. So I'm like, okay, so there's some percentage of British in there, and maybe some Scottish or Irish, and definitely Native American because everyone has that Native American grandma story. Your grandma has the great hair, and so she's part mixed with part Native American. Maybe. So yeah, so it's like Native American, and my family comes from South Carolina and Georgia. So yeah. So okay, so that was my thing. So I'm really bad at math. I'm an American, but I would say about 85% African. I was thinking from like Ghana for some reason. But I thought that maybe I'm mixed all over from different parts of Africa. That's what I was thinking because that's what I see with a lot of African Americans, a lot of mixture. So I'm like, okay. And then I thought about 10% would be 10% I thought was definitely British. And then the other 5% would be Native American because it's a great great grandma, so that has to be like the Native American 5% or maybe a little bit up. And that's what I thought my genetic makeup was. Well, then I got my test results back, and I was just like, what? Okay, first of all, with my results, which you will see will pop up on the screen. Maybe we'll do a side screen shot, Phew. Or it'll pop up on the screen. And now, my results came back in Chinese, so I had to use my friend. He translated it for me, and then I went to like Google Translator, which is awesome. So the results you'll be seeing up on the screen, I'm so sorry it doesn't look very professional as a translated version. Unless you want to see the Chinese version, you're more than welcome to look at it. It's fascinating. And they did, it was pretty thorough, I would say, because a lot of people are like, oh my god, you're getting a Chinese one. It's not going to be good. But the Chinese one has a very good sample of African DNA. Let's just leave it at that. So I'm going to look and I'm just going to tell you my results because I've known my results for a long time. But I just wanted to just put my estimates up. Okay. So first, we can look over and now I've never seen this before. I've gotten, I came up as 70, I have to look, 74.53% African. Oh, okay. That was a bit lower than I thought I was. So, still with the most African Americans are between 70 and like 85. So, that's good. Hey, but from that 74.53%, 69.80% Yoruba tribe. The Yoruba tribe lives in Nigeria. So, wow, I'm like, basically, this one gives you tribes. Doesn't give you countries, it gives you African tribes, which is awesome. So basically, if you're 69.8%, that's 70% basically. I am Nigerian. Woo! That's a very, very high number. So I need to get my dad tested because I've been going on just looking at pictures and I see Nigerian men and I'm like, wow, they look like my father. Or my father, it's just like amazing. I need to get him tested when I'm here. Hey, but this was interesting. 1.43% Neanderthal. Okay. Usually people of African origin don't get that, but oh, okay. 1.43% of me is Neanderthal DNA. And let's just leave it at that. Okay. So, rounding out the rest of the African total, there was some more. It says the Bantu people of South Africa was 2.71%. So that's good. And I will post pictures of each group so you can see. And the Mubuti people. I had to look up Mubuti because I didn't know Mubuti. And then I looked up Mubuti and I was like, what? Mubuti was 1.32%. And their Mubutis are pygmies. So I got pygmy blood here. And I'm like, I know pygmies weren't taken as slaves because they were too small. So they also have a timeline, and by looking at the timeline, I kind of understood things a little bit more, and I can explain that timeline too. Okay, and then I got 0.69% Somalian. I had somebody say that they thought that I looked Somalian. Well, it's not, it's really trace region. So that was my African portion. Okay, and then I got European was 2.3.22% European. And that was made, and this is when I was just saying this like, This was my what moment. It actually came up with the country. It didn't come up with how Ancestry says Europe West or anything like that. It said 14.6% Hungarian. I'm like, Hungarian? Hungarian? Really? So I did a search and I saw that there was a Hungarian migration um, to the U.S., to South Carolina. I found research on that, so it's possible. But there's also a timeline. I can show you it. It didn't come out very well on the translation. It came out really bad looking. But according to the timeline, that Hungarian aspect was introduced with my grandma and my great grandma, so it's way after slavery. And great grandma was the one that they said was Native American. No, she wasn't. She was part Hungarian. It's okay. All right. So then after that was 7.65% Spaniard. That came right before the Hungarian with the great greats, according to the timeline. So this, and I know which side of the family this is from. This is definitely from mom's side. So I hope I can get my aunt tested because my mom is passed away. Spaniard. So that's probably could be Portuguese and Spain, which would make sense. That does make sense. So I'm like, okay. Now, unlike most African Americans, there was no even mention of nothing. So I want to go and do ancestry because I want to see where they would say the migration was because I had no British, no Irish, nothing. I had Spanish and Hungarian. I don't know. Okay, and then it said after that it was Ashkenazi Jewish, 0.95%. I'm Jewish. Okay. And then Central Asia, I got 1.2%, and I can't even pronounce this. It's Kyrgyz. It's like around Turkey. So I'm like, okay. That was in Central Asia. And then other came up as 1.5%. And you'll see they have this really, really, really easy chart. And you can see everywhere. I got 0.72 Chinese nations. So I have trace amounts of Alpine ethnic group. I don't know what that is. I got Tibetan. Like, that's so cool. So that was trace. And then I got a little tiny, teeny bit of American. Like, yay. I had a little bit of Middle Eastern too. It was like Egyptian. And that probably came from like the Somalian thing. It was it's too minute to even mention. That's probably the Somalian. And I got 0.26% from America. But it's not the Native American. It came out as no, it did come out Native American. I came out to 0.08. So maybe they were not. They were telling the truth. But it came out actually as Inuit. 0.18. So I'm trying to not like make my family story a fallacy. So yeah, I'm still not understanding the Hungarian. I want to take another test. Just it's not going to say Hungarian, but I want my relatives to go and download it on WeGene just to see if they get Hungarian as well. I want my dad to get the test. Do I feel? I do feel. I feel like I'm really connected, and I need to make a pilgrimage to Yoruba land because that was the most of my DNA. So I really need to understand that part because that was like 70%. That's a huge amount. not little spice. That's a huge amount. That's like, this is you. It's like, it's just great just to kind of know who you are and stuff. And that's why I did this journey. And I would encourage people to do that too. Even if you're not in the US, see if they have any DNA testing there, because it was well worth it. Again, I want to do Ancestry or 23andMe since I'm back home, just to check it out, just to kind of compare and then do another comparison. So, really hope. And I'm so sorry I just looked that I spoke for like 15 minutes. So, I hope you enjoyed my video, okay? Um, Bye, and I would totally recommend that you, especially if you're African American, do this. It may give you some closure, some peace, but just know we as a people, we built an amazing, amazing, amazing culture already. So that's just all I had to say. Okay,